Miles run for Cap Ferrat. Low rider leads. Cap Ferrat the inside and streaking down the outside is My Wish. Cap Ferrat, he's gone through on the inside. My Wish drives. Cap Ferrat has won the derby for Craig Williams.
Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new edition of Triple Trio. We reflect on a wonderful Hong Kong derby, a boil over, but as we will remind you, a long time ago, the best form analyst in the business in Clint Hutchison and the Hall of Famer in Raymond Shane Dye mentioned Cap Ferrat, and he was able to produce and win the derby. Hello, Hutch.
Yeah, hey, Richo. Looking forward to hearing from Craig Williams. It was a fantastic race, as it always is. There's plenty to get out of it, and I think Shane's thoughts and mine we'll share a little bit later in the show, along with Willow. Of course, great to have him. We haven't had him on before.
No, he is a special guest, Craig Williams, reflecting on his Hong Kong derby. And I tell you what, Golden Boy, that was some ride by Craig. No tempo in the race. He was in the number one spot.
Well, the barrier won the race. You know, he had gate 2. He was always going to lob there and everything went right. And then Newey laid out in the straight, come off the fence, and it got there by a nose. Run it 10 times again. It probably doesn't win once. Everything just went right. But the gate won the race.
Okay, we might not lead with that when we chat to Craig.
But it's a fact.
I know. And that's what we love about you, mate. You don't hold back. You just tell it how it is. And talking of that, we tell it how it is here. And awesome to have Zach Purton back riding. He'll be riding this Sunday. Car Ying Rising, and Zach's got a big book of rides, so welcome back to Zach.
Yeah, good to see Zach back. And, of course, there's a lot of racing in the Whirlpool as well going forward on the weekend as well. Flemington, of course, Sydney we've got as well, and South Africa. So plenty to look at.
I hope you've done your South African form. Let's have a look at how we went tipping-wise last week.
There's quite a few that can place there, of course, but packing on top.
Well, top 4 in identical order for you two, Jings.
Love it.
Like mine.
Love it.
Devano still in front of Packing Hermod, a young champion. Packing Hermod lifting in the centre for Marira. He'll be too good. Packing Hermod beat young champion Devano. Then came Dancing Coat.
I've got the one on top, Invincible Shield.
Invincible Shield run up to Triumphant Moore, Super Infinity and Majestic Express. He's a good horse. Invincible Shield wins. Rising Force leading a length and a half. Patches Stars give me 5. What a night for Richard Kingscote. He wants every Wednesday night at Sharpton. And Rising Force wins on debut and wins easily.
Well done, team. A lot to reflect on. Missing out on the derby, there was a host of really good wins. So just repeating, Craig Williams will be our very special guest. All right, let's find some future winners on Sunday at HUTCHI'S. Well, Sunday, the highlight is the return of Car Ying Rising, and that's the first race for us to assess, the Sprint Cup, and he will just be dominant, surely.
He'll be dominant. He'll be very short. So what have I got him? $1.20. He'll probably be $1.10 on the day, I would imagine. And you would think that Helios Express will be the second elect. I think lucky with you, he'll run a bit of a race. I want to respect his chances. But Shane, great to see Car Ying back in action. He's sort of worked and trialled well. Helios sort of loomed here over 1,400. They both come back to 1,200, but it's hard to see too many weaknesses for Car Ying and Zach with this guy.
No, he just wins. He's too good. Clint, we all know that. He'll be $1.10 or something. He's got a little bit of an awkward gate gate 6, because California Spangle's drawn outside of him. You'd rather California Spangle draw inside of him, because he'll probably lead, but Zach will compensate that for sure. He trialled well here. It's what you would expect. He's going good. He's going to be winning.
I was going to ask you that, because it is interesting. I mean, what do you think Zach will do? Will he press from the start and say, you know what, I'll just make the running here. I won't sort of let California Spangle cross and then try and sit outside him, because we know he has mentioned in the past with Car Ying Rising that the fear that he has is he goes too slow. So is he aggressive early and just say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about California Spangle, I'm going to do my thing?
No, I think you wait and see what California Spangled did. I'm not Zach, I'm different, but I'd wait and see what he does, because if he pushes the issue early, you can't go with him early. You've got to let him go. Otherwise, you just burn yourself, and then you just come back and sit off him. You're a better horse than California Spangled, so that could bring you undone. That's why I would have liked him to have drawn outside of him, but he'll compensate that Zach, and he knows what he's doing. I actually think, lucky for you, is my second selection. I think he's gone to another level. He's flying. I know he's been racing in weaker races than this, and he wasn't placing when he was running against these horses like Car Ying Rising before, but I definitely think he's improved this horse.
Yeah, I think he has, and it's coincided. I very nearly marked him second elect, Shane, and I think, Luke Ferraris has jumped on him, and for whatever reason, whether or not it's later in the season and things have just clicked, but you can't deny the horse is going better than ever. So I'm sort of with you there. I think he's a live chance for a Quinella. I mean, because that's where you want to go if you want to get a bit of value in the race. The Helios will probably be the shorter Quinella, and maybe there'll be some value there.
So, Shane, you've switched them around. You've got one ahead of 4, and then Helios into third.
It's not hard. They pick themselves. Those 3 stand out, and they'll be there somewhere, all of them. It's a pretty easy race.
So 1, 4 and 3 versus 1, 3 and 4 for Hutch. Let's go back to race number 5 here, which is the Chairman's Trophy. Who do you like here?
This is an interesting race, isn't it? The Chairman's Trophy with Galaxy Patch. Once again, it's a little tricky barrier for Zach, who now rides Galaxy Patch. I've got him a 270 favourite. I think he'll be shorter on the day. I don't think I'll bring him in too much from there. Beauty Eternal was a better run recently. Chan Cheng Glory, in a race that lacks pace, will go forward. I think he has to be really respected, and it's a lot bigger test for Sunlight Power, but I think he can run well. Shane, I'll let you take over here, because I know you've been thinking that, or believing that Galaxy Patch has had some excuses, and what did you think of his chances here?
He's got a good chance, but the pace may not suit him here. They're not going to go fast, you wouldn't think. Like his last 4 starts, he hasn't been given a chance to win the race. Not in one of them. You can debate whether he wins or not, but you can't debate that he hasn't been given the right ride to win, right? He's trialled very well since then. He's the best horse in the race, for sure. Zach's first ride, and Zach's been riding him quiet at the trials, which I love. And he's not an overly hard horse to ride. You just got to keep him out of trouble, get him relaxed early, and bring him to the outside, give him one run, and he runs at 21.5.
So
it's not hard to ride.
So you've been saying that he's been either written too cold or too close. What are your instructions to Zach?
Well, in the International, he definitely should have won the International. That's not debatable if he had had the right run. He went in when he drew gate 14. He buffeted at the half mile. He then got checked at the 300. He got beat 2 lengths by Voyage Bubble. So he wins that race. Now, the next 2 races after that, that's debatable whether he wins or not. Last start, he was ridden far too close. He pulled. And with Zach, if I'm riding him, I'm just dropping him. He's going to tell me. Let the horse tell you where he wants to be. Leave him alone, but get him to the outside, give him a clear run, and he's going to get home. He's going to hit the line. But there is a worry in this race with pace, Clint. Now, does Qinghai
Chan Cheng Glory.
Chan Cheng Glory lead, or Beauty Eternal, or something like Red Lion from an outside gate? There's a few there, but they're not real leaders.
There's a real lack of pace, and I suppose it just depends when the injection of tempo goes into the race. I mean, if they set up to the 400, then it's no problem for Galaxy Patch. He's drawn 9, he'll be in the running line, he'll swoop around them and run past them. If they pick up a bit sooner, it's a problem. I think he'll be off them. I don't know if we saw Chan Cheng only beaten by him within about a length when he finished ahead of course, Galaxy Patch early in the season and was second to Voyage Bubble, beaten under a length. This was a wet track for Sunlight Power. He's suited under those conditions. It's a tougher race, but I think he can run well all the same. But just getting back to, the tempo and Chan Cheng, there's a real lack of speed. Beauty Eternal didn't show much for Andrea at Zenny the other day. I think they'll want to get cover, but he'll find the rail. I like that. But outside of Chan Cheng Glory, they could crawl in this race, and if they do up it at the right time, it won't be easy for Galaxy. So that's the little issue.
So, Shane, what are your numbers here? You're with the 3?
Yeah, definitely got him on top from Ching Chun Glory, who will be up on the pace getting a soft run. I'm throwing in Beauty Joy here. He hasn't had a run for a while, but his trials have been good, and all of his runs this season have been pretty good. I know he's going to get back, but he'll hit the line. And Sunlight Power, who's not very well in at the weights here, who's racing very well from gate 3, he should run a race. But I think it's a pretty open race outside of Galaxy Patch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Beauty Joy is a good roughie, and Brenton Avdulla stays with him.
He'll be back as well.
Yeah,
We'll be back in
he'll
the
be back.
nearly last.
Sometimes the tempo's a little slower. He might be able to get closer and go whoosh.
Maybe.
Maybe his whoosh days are a
But then
little
he can
behind him.
It's a little tough.
But then if he races closer, Richo, he'll pull.
Yeah, that's right.
Get up. He's not an easy horse to ride, Beauty Joy, with his head.
He's been
The one that hinted to me, and we've touched on him, was Beauty Eternal. He was a little better the other day. And we remember at the end of last season, he sort of came into his own. And maybe it's just taken a little bit of time for him to find his form. But he wouldn't surprise me if he ran a lot better.
Well, let's go back to race number 2. It's only a small field of 7 here. Who do you like here in the second?
I'm pretty keen on Fast Network. I thought his effort with weight last start was outstanding. When, of course, J-Mac was in the saddle. Huey Bowman gets on board here. Bottom up together's got to be a great chance. He'll have a map advantage bottom up together. He'll be handy. And Zach has a great association, of course, with him. And I think it's predominantly between those two. I mean, that said, I think Midwinter Wind will be absolutely slashing home late. But this win from Fast Network with 2 kilos more or 2.5 kilos more, I thought was terrific. And he was one of those that was on a derby path, Shane, and now is back.
Yeah, no, he's going to be very hard to beat. He'll be a short price favourite, you would think. He'll get a good run off the pace. It's a small field. And getting a good run back a bit in this field is going to be suited because there's actually, 3 or 4 leaders in the race. The bottom 4 all can lead if they want to. So they're going to go along here. So those back markers are going to be well suited. Actually, bottom up together can lead too if they want to. So there's 5 leaders in the race out of 7 horses. Yeah,
Zach's got a very good record on bottom up together. This is the day that he held off a late charge from a key rival in Stellar Express. But, he's certainly going particularly well bottom up together when Zach's on board. And he could take a sit, but he's racing well. Now, I don't know what to do with this guy. Midwinter Wind was explosive on debut. He carried a lot of weight. He ran some outstanding closing sectionals. And then they went to the classic mile. They were thinking about going on the mile path. They ran him over further and maybe he just didn't get it because he seemed to have the perfect run in transit. But Mark Newnham, he's brought him back. He's freshened him up, obviously, Shane, and now back to sprint trip. What did you think of his chances?
Yeah, he's got a chance. It's not going to be easy to beat Fast Network. He come home that day, I think, in a 21.72, which is very fast. And when Fast Network won last start, he was at 21.79. So very similar closing sectionals. He's going to get back. He's going to run on. He did not run the mile out last start. He went up to win. If he was going to run the mile out, he would have won. He had every opportunity. So Mark's obviously thought the same as what I thought and switched him back. I've got him on top, but look, I'm not knocking Fast Network. He's going to be a short price favourite. He looks the winner, but I think he might just be a better value bet, and he'll be behind him, tracking him. And of course, bottom up together's done nothing wrong in a runner race. But Clint, they stand out once again, those 3 horses.
They do.
Yeah, slightly different though. So you're not a complete kumbaya, you two, because you've been kumbaya on the others. Maybe you won't be kumbaya when we get to race number 9 here. Who do you like?
What's wrong with kumbaya?
Well, our audience would like you to disagree with each other.
No, we won't be disagreeing here because Cross-Border Pegasus, I'm sure Shane will have on top. Mojave Desert's going well. He's ready to win a race. Sunny to Best had excuses on a wet track for Ryan last start, never travelled a yard. And Packing Power's gone all right in a recent trial with a little gear change, winkers on. Gee, I couldn't believe, Shane, how short this horse started last start. $1.30 across Border Pegasus. And look, it was an easy watch to an extent, but market was all over him, and now he goes up in grade. And key pointer here, Huey Bowman getting down to 123 to ride one.
I'm trying to work out, he's riding also Cha-Ching Glory at 123 as well. So there's some stats in regards to it. 45 rides for 7 wins at that weight.
Yeah, pretty good profit on turnover. What did you make of Cross-Border Pegasus?
Well, he's done nothing wrong. Clint. His 2 wins have been good. He's going to get a nice run from gate 6. He's going to be very hard to beat. He's going to be odds on in this, you would think. I've got him on top. John's got some nice young horses that are winning at present. Had 2 or 3 runs, and this is one of them.
Yeah, this might even be an easier race than
Last time.
Yeah, it could be. But you're giving a chance to Chateau Neuf, is racing well, and Sunny de Best. You happy to give one more chance to as well?
Well, he had his first run at Happy Valley and wasn't suited, Sunny de Best. And the number 2 there, he had no luck last start and should have run closer. And he's going to get the right run from the gate, and he'll run a race for sure. He won't be far away.
And just great to have Zach Purton back. So he arrives back and he's got a lead of 34. So he's been away, but they haven't really eaten into that lead
Not
of
really.
his. And John's...
You think you'd be worried?
I don't think
he'd be worried.
I think he'd be fine. And John Size leads from 7 over Hazy now.
Yeah.
So 45 read 38 in.
Starting to draw a little bit clear. But Hazy said on our show last week he's pretty happy with the arsenal that he has for the end of the season.
Got a whoosh coming.
Yeah, he can't let John Size get too far away.
Craig Williams, our very special guest, joins us.
Mr. Brightside goes to the front from Private Life Evaporate, then Pericles behind those Freedom Rally. Next in the field out wide, I Wish I Win. Mr. Brightside went for home. 200 metres to go, 2 legs Evaporate. I Wish I Win. It's Mr. Brightside. He's opened up his eyes. He's just in front and he wins.
It's still Beauty Glory. Solid Impact stays on 3/4 away from every 1 star. Indeed looking for a rails run from Beauty Viva. Armour War Eagles trying to get through the centre as Beauty Glory still leads. He's a length in front of Indeed on the rail. They're closing now. Armour War Eagle is bursting through the centre late. It is Indeed in front. Armour War Eagle driving at him. Indeed kicking on the rail is just going to get it. Lowriders had the best run in the lead in the Derby you'll ever see. He's 3/4 over California Totality. A rails run for Cap Ferrat. Beauty Alliance are now Packing Angel joins in. Lowrider leads. Cap Ferrat the inside. Packing Angel and streaking down the outside is My Wish. Cap Ferrat, he's gone through on the inside. Packing Angel, My Wish, it's still Cap Ferrat. Cap Ferrat has won the Derby for Craig Williams.
Our star power guest is a superstar all around the world. He's won Group 1 races and he can add a Hong Kong Derby to his incredible CV. Craig Williams is his name. And Craig, is always great to catch up, mate. Congratulations. That must have been a huge thrill for you. I think Lisa was with you as well to win the great race, the Hong Kong Derby.
Yeah, it certainly was, Richo. I feel really honoured to be on this program, the Triple Trio. And, it was really special. I spent a lot of time. I spent a couple of contracts, but then a bulk of 3 years being in Hong Kong. And as I read a report saying that I rode my first Hong Kong Derby 24 years ago and finished second. And I've had 11 goes, and I was very fortunate to have the right horse to be able to win it on Sunday for Francis Lawyer, who's the trainer who gave me such a great opportunity, and enjoyed my time in Hong Kong and riding a lot of winners for Francis back then. And I didn't realise how big the owner was, how well entrenched he is in Australian racing as well. So it was a really big thrill. And then, as you touched on, to have my wife Lisa there, it was really special.
So you had some unfinished business, Craig. Congratulations once again. But, you've always had a close association with Hong Kong and these trips back, and it played a big part in your career early on.
Yeah, that's right. If it wasn't for Hong Kong, I clearly wouldn't be the jockey I am, and hence the person that I am as well. So it's a tough school. It was, but a great opportunity, and I was very grateful and fortunate through my early time to have that opportunity. And then it only built me to be the rider and the person I am now. And with flying now, we can ride on Saturdays, and there's a big meeting over there. They're a lot more flexible which type of race meetings that international jockeys can come in. And I was grateful for the call. I went there earlier this year for a sprinter and for Cody Moe, but ran into Hazy's superstar. But it just obviously then might have opened the door that people realised that I was flying around and riding really well. And then it opened the door. I remember being up on the Gold Coast, and I got a phone call from Francis Loy. I was celebrating Michael Carl's retirement, and then I got a phone call. Francis Loy was at the Sydney Sales, and he said, would you like to come and ride Cap Ferrat? And I said, oh yeah, I really like that horse when John Size had him. So I rode him in the Classic Cup, and then obviously we had 3 weeks until the Derby, and I must admit we wouldn't be successful if Francis didn't train him so well, because he had to come on from his that previous run, and then he did. The horse is in great form. His attitude was excellent, and he drew the right barrier and had the right run, and we got the right result in the end.
Craig, hopefully you can see this vision we're looking at now. You jumped well and you're sitting third on the rail. That's probably the number one spot that you had in mind when you drew that beautiful barrier.
Well, it was all about riding him. It was one thing we knew about going into the race, that he had 2,000 metre form. A lot of these horses, I think there's only 2 of the others that had very big question marks about running a strong 2,000 metres. So that's one thing that we had in our favour. Of course, then the way that Francis trained him, the way that he responded to his work, and then we had a very economical barrier. The second horse didn't have that luxury, and they had to make a decision from the outset from barrier 14, and that was probably quite costly to them. But that's the benefit of having the really good barrier draw, and then the horse on the day to be able to produce that performance.
And Craig, midway through, did you realise how slow they were going, or steady, and were you starting to feel good about your chances?
I was happy because I also had Hugh Bowman in front of me, and he's just, I was listening to your program before I came on, and he's an international rider. He's great. He knows how quick he's going, and even though his horse didn't have the ability or the caliber ability of the other horses in the race, I just knew that when Hugh had an easy time, that he doesn't sit and sprint. He makes it a test for his horse, and that's why his horse ran as well as what it did at the price it was. And so I was comfortable there, and I thought with the horse outside of Hugh, I had options whether I could go inside or outside, because I didn't think Tony Cruz's horse was good enough in that race.
Did you actually think you'd won the race or got beat at the winning post, or you weren't sure, Craig?
I told everyone that I knew I won.
Yeah.
There was some jockey cam footage, and Joe Moreira had one and Ben Thompson had the other one. And Joe actually says in his footage, I think this must be Joe now, he actually says, "Well done, you got it." And I was like, "Yeah, are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then, but how I knew Shane, because I knew my horse wasn't the favourite, the one I was finding out was second favourite. When the crowd didn't erupt, I thought, "Oh, I've definitely won this." I've spent enough time on
yeah. You always know that. That happened with me, octagonal. They pulled the other horse, the winner, across the line, and I pulled up and I said, "Did I win?" And the clerk of the course said, "There's no result yet." And next minute, the crowd went, "Rah!" That was in the Tancred Stakes. Yeah. And I said, "I've won." And then he said, "Yeah, I've confirmed you won." I said, "No, stop beat."
Well, talking of winning as well, Craig, on the day you had another winner, of course, and I think this might have been quite special as well with an owner in Hong Kong that you've known for a long time as Ben Wong, and with Indeed.
Yeah, look, it's great. Benedict Wong, when I first went to Hong Kong, there was a few owners that had horses with my uncle Doug Harrison, and when I got over there, and I was definitely a kid in the candy store, and they really took me under their wing, and they were very supportive. Benedict Wong's company is like 99 in the Hong Kong stock market, so he's really big deal. He met Michael Dell before Michael Dell became Dell Computers, and he's just really well. He's just a champion bloke. And when I ran second the Derby for Laurie Founds 24 years ago, it was for Benedict Wong. And so he said to me, "I want to win a Derby. I want you to ride it for me." So at least I've got a winner for him on Derby Day. And that horse was actually going to run Wednesday night when Hutchie, or your form that I could see you doing your interview, your form for Sunday, that form for Wednesday. He was going to run on the all-weather on Wednesday, but because I was coming over, he asked John if he could find a race for me to ride in, and luckily enough, it worked out. And again, I knew I'd won because, I actually felt the favourite surged, and I didn't realise what happened at the start, of course, but I saw he surged, but I didn't know if I thought I was stronger through the line, actually. But the same thing, there was no crowd noise, and I thought, I'll tag no story, Shane. I was pretty confident that the one that they didn't really like won because there was no uproar, because that crowd is quite amazing. They really had a big crowd, even for their standards. and it was great. And I didn't realise how much it carried around the world of racing until I turned my phone on later on, and the next day, and it was just overwhelming. It was up there with Melbourne Cups and Everest in regards to people that were aware of that race and that I was lucky enough to win it. And again, it was very special to have my wife there. And then when I got presented the trophy, I actually said to the gentleman, I said, I must have won. I won the biggest race in Hong Kong, but to actually get the trophy from yourself, my kids are going to be more thrilled about that than me winning the race.
Did you stay the night, Craig, or go straight back to Australia?
No, when I've been doing these flights, it's worked out better for me not to keep chasing my tail. I hope my children aren't watching, but when we get home, we've got 4 children, 4 cats, 2 dogs. And so we try and, because I had 10 on Saturday and then flew over, rode 5 then, it didn't really sink in until the Monday because I was exhausted. We went out, Lacey and I actually had room service in our hotel room that night because we were exhausted. Went to bed early, caught up with Ben Wong for lunch, and then the owners, Francis organised to have dinner with the owners. And then I actually cut it halfway through. I said, sorry, I'm exhausted. We've got to go home. So it was quite special. But we did get some time in Hong Kong, but it was more recovery. And my Rolf is in Hong Kong, who I fly out every year. So in the morning I had a recovery session as well. And but it was really special.
Oh.
You must have got your sling early, Craig, to leave early.
Well, I must admit, Shane, when I was getting the Rolfing session, Lisa leaves the room, and I couldn't work out why there's a ding dong. I thought we put the sign on rooms, like housekeeping, and then it was Lisa, and I went, oh, this might be good for me. And her favourite shop was closed, so I did get to make money.
It's great news. Hey, 4 kids, 4 cats and 2 dogs. I'd be staying away.
Well, you might want to go back to Hong Kong then in the near future, which is what you might be doing, Craig. Of course, bright side, the boys are still saying that they're pretty keen to go up to Hong Kong. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I know it's always been on the radar, and I know David is a really big pulling tool. It would mean a lot for Australian racing to have a horse like him go over and compete over there. We've got to a stage now where there's so much money in our own backyard and there is no need to travel. But with him being a mile specialist at this time of the year now, there's really not those options for him to be right in his wheelhouse. Now, he can be competitive in any race that the Hayes boys want to target him at, but his wheelhouse is the 1600, so I'm really excited for him to get over there. And if we got the weather conditions they got 12 months ago, then it would only enhance his chances.
Okay, so these are some of the opposition. My Wish may be heading that way, which is going to be interesting indeed. Voyage Bubble might be heading that way. We're going to see Galaxy Patch, of course, on Sunday. So it's going to be some race.
Yeah, it always is, and it's a hard place to go and take them on and win. But Mr. Brightside, he's so honest and tenacious, and Craig knows him well, and I'm sure he'd be of the opinion, Craig, that he'll go and acquit himself well, even against Hong Kong's best on their home turf.
Yeah, well, he does. He's just that type of horse, isn't he? He's a great horse. He's just going to have to travel over there, but they've had this option in play, and they felt this is the right time for him to go. So I'm really looking forward. Most importantly, he come through. He had a couple of stuff that they had to manage when he first come through his Flemington run, but he bounced back in 2 days, and they were really happy with him, and they've been happy with him since. And part of his preparation now that I'll be jumping him out next Friday at Flemington, and he'll have another piece of work before he gets on the aeroplane and gets over there.
Craig, can you stay with us? We're going to pivot towards world global racing. From a global racing point of view, the World Pool's covering some fascinating meetings on Saturday. So it's going to be all around the clock, if you don't mind. Flemington races 6, 7 and 8. Rose Hill races 8, 9 and 10. Turffontein for South African Derby Day as well. Races 6 all the way through to 11. So while we've got Craig with us, we should try to get some insight.
Absolutely.
We've got a couple of races at Flemington, Craig. We're starting with the race on the Whirlpool that you're riding, Midwest, who seems to A, love Flemington and B, love the 1,000.
Yeah, it's his right. He was very dominant last time, and he goes up in grade, but he goes down in weight. Obviously, that's the reason why I got the ride, because it's too light for Mark Zara, who won him last time. But look, he proved himself the other day, and I like horses that are in form. They're in a track that have been successful in distance, and he also has no weight on his back.
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't tried the straight with him, Craig, so they've sort of opened up some opportunities with Midwest now. I thought he looked a great chance in the race. Like you said, it's a harder contest for him, but with that weight, Richo, I think we both think he'll run very well.
Oh, I think he'll be, one of the, the starting positions, because he's drawn the right part of the track as well, Craig, isn't it? I mean, the reality is, for some reason, my default is always wide barriers down the straight at Flemington.
What do you want to have a flag start?
Well, you've drawn the right part. For some reason, it always seems to suit them.
When you've got a quick horse, the reason why they keep running around bends is because if you draw a wide barrier and you can't get away from it, you're covering a lot more ground than everyone else. In a straight line, there's really no hiding spaces. But straight racing, I believe, has changed. I know by riding it, you might see it by watching it. A lot of straight races now, we go really slow and then just sprint from the 600.
Yeah.
So it's actually be nice being on horses like him. That's a fast horse, and just let him be fast, because I haven't seen a really good straight horse for a long time, which is a horse. When I say a straight horse, that's a good horse. I mean something that can dominate, make their own luck, and just keep breaking them. We seem to be going very, very slow, and it's not suiting horses that get back in the field or need to have a bit more pressure in the race early, and then they just sprint from the 600 metres as soon as they join up with the course proper. So I'm really looking forward to riding him over the 5 furlongs down the straight.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Who have you got on top?
Yep, Midwest. I think Craig can dominate from the front. I think got a really good chance. So I think Craig has a nice book actually at headquarters.
Of course he does. He does each and every week.
But I haven't sort of gone with this Midwest or another one we're going to talk about in a moment because Craig's on board. Who are you with? Oh, that's not very...
well, I didn't realise Craig was going to be on the program during this segment, so I feel a bit awkward. But I thought the very enigmatic spacewalk could run... I love what I've done with my hair in that graphic. And Sonstut, at her absolute best, would be a factor in a race like this. But we need to...
What about the Sydney horse, Pisanello?
Pisanello, absolutely. However, Pisanello
Its last run was good.
Yeah, he does have a lot of form around that set of 78, sort of 84 grade. So it is a step up. And but I give you a live chance. Have you got him on top, Shane?
I haven't really done the form for Melbourne, but yeah, I would, just looking at it, I know him from Sydney. His last run was good. The sectionals, he got home very fast. It was a non-pace track, and he'll track up there and behind. It's funny, I'm just looking at the weights, and Craig said he's got no weight on its back. It's got 54.
Yeah.
Right? His horse. When I was riding, 54 was nearly top weight. 55 was the top weight. Remember, Craig? And 50 and 49 were the bottom weights. You would have been around in those days, the 50s.
No, I can't recall. Must have been before my time.
Craig, tell me. Mate, I just want to know. I'm having trouble with my hair. It's going grey. How are you keeping yours so dark?
I can actually help you out. If you want me to have grey hair, I can just...
Well done.
That's good.
Can I just ask a question? Because I'm the struggling jockey in this conversation. Down in front of mine, we've got Shane Dye, Penthouse, you, Melbourne Studio. Do I get like menagerie, zoo or something with all my animals? What's my description down the bottom?
Ukraine Peace, which is amazing. And I did a show one day on Terry Bailey, and I actually brought it up. What you've done from Ukraine is quite incredible. I wouldn't be able to do that, and it's all credit to you. It's been fantastic.
No,
well, I appreciate it. It means the world to Lacer and I, so thank you.
Good on you, buddy. Race number 7, Craig, you're on Alabama Lass, who HUTCHI'S just got me in a headlock and said, mate, this girl is a freak. She's a superstar. She's going to bolt in. Yep. You'll be ready to sing Sweet Home Alabama just at about the 400, according to HUTCHI.
Well, unfortunately, one person on your panel's actually probably heard me at a karaoke, knows I can't sing, so I won't sing. But she's really good. I actually raced against her when I went over to the for the Cracker Millions, and she only just got beaten by the horse that she beat this time, Cerruti. And he's a really good horse in New Zealand. And she's a 3-year-old filly, and this is a really good contest, but I'm really excited about her coming across the ocean and me having a first ride on her.
Yeah, I mean, it was when I look at her form, Craig, and I think that the trainer is of the same opinion in terms of her. She ran, of course, over a mile at Group 1 level. She didn't really get the trip, I don't think, at this point. It seems as though they believe that she's more of a sprinter. So you talked about dominating from the front. This is also a race where there's not, look at it on paper, there might not be much pressure for you here, so that could suit.
Yeah, and if you like weights and ratings, then she's clearly the best rated horse of the whole meeting because she's got such a high rating, and she hasn't in relevant terms. She's meeting those horses are meeting her so much worse at her rating weights. So she's on all those facts, and that she turns up in her right form. Then they wouldn't be beating her.
Yep, I'm with her. I'll go through my numbers, and I got to say as well, while you're there, Shane.
Yep.
Richo was very disrespectful for the Kiwis yesterday on another show we do called Get On, and he really gave them a hard time in their sprinting ranks. So I'd like you to bring that up with him. I'd like you to bring that up with him at some point.
Well, we had to retire one to give you a chance.
Yes.
It wasn't fair having Jimmy Starr and Ka Ying Rising, and there's probably a couple more out there now. Just remember 5 years, 6 years ago, 10 years, 20 years ago, we never had a sprinter in Australia. Practically.
Yeah.
Now, oh my God.
Well, you've got Alabama Lass on top, Hutchie, and look, that's the obvious, but I don't want to steer our audience into the obvious. I'm looking for wide barriers again, Craig. So be forgiving. I think Vestas for Jamie Mellon drawn out wide. I think she's got terrific ability, and there's a 50-1 chance called Hot Diggity Boom, who can run into the race.
I think Hot Diggity Boom will be a very good horse to put in your exotics in some of those trifectas and first fours as well. It's a good roughie. I like it. Okay. I like it a lot.
Well, let's get to the Australian Cup, Craig. It's such a special race, isn't it? And you have got a really interesting hand here because we would love to know what your tactics are going to be. Do you go up and eyeball Pride of Jenny? How do you see it playing out?
It could be really good or really scary. We were watching a race on Wednesday from Sandown. I think it was over it was interstate somewhere. And there's two horses that went that fast out, and then they just both fell in a hole. And Craig said to me, that could be us on Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
I doubt it, though.
Yes. Look, it's an intriguing race. Pride of Jenny brings that element to racing every time she races. And my horse has got a similar type of run style. I did speak to Mark Zara about Denied Knowledge and said, what's about of insight to her. And he goes, look, it's pretty simple. It's all about riding her. And and then someone said, couldn't it be funny? And I said, I don't know if this is going to be funny, or just funny. If you do like the Tour de France, when you got the lead outs, the domestics that go out there and they change the leads to someone have a breather. So you work for 200 metres, then I'll work for 200 metres. And I said, I said it would be funny for us, but probably not funny for people watching anyway. But, you've got two really good horses that have a similar run style. And so it's no one's going to be dying wondering. Horses like Zadozi, who's ran at 2 mile, could endure that type of speed a little bit, not far off us. So those type of horses might get a benefit because what's been lacking in the past when you take on Pride of Jenny, particularly when I've had Brightside. Brightside has got a better acceleration than Pride of Jenny, but he can't do it from the 800 or the 1,000 metres when he ramps up his times. And the times that he runs, Craig Newitt said, I think it would be fine, Craig, because my horse runs 11-something and your horse always runs 12-something. So by times, you'll be just a length off me the whole time. I said, well, don't go any slower than we are. So it's an intriguing race. And two horses, if they bring their right form, it's going to be interesting what time they clock out there and which horse can endure it. And, when you're racing against, Pride of Jenny, she really changed the dynamics of a race.
Who wins? Which Craig?
Well, she never usually wins fresh, so she bucked the trend. They've clearly got her going well. I think Pride of Jenny is your starting point for sure, and it's about, getting the sections right. I thought Craig Newitt did a brilliant job at that last start. I don't think anything can mix it with a mid-race. And I think Zardozi, like Craig said, is the key runner, really. They gave her a little bit too much leeway at Caulfield. We know Zardozi's better at Flemington. I think they'll be mindful of that. So I think Pride of Jenny to win, but I think, probably Middle Earth and Zardozi for the queue.
Okay. I'm seeing it slightly different. I just think there'll be enough tempo on that a Tissue and Light Infantryman might be able to charge at them.
Wow, you are going for an upset.
Yeah, I'm going for an upset.
Okay.
I think they can charge at the both of them. Late in the race, I could have egg all over my face, which tends to happen, but I can see a track specialist there in a Tissue in particular running really, really well. A little rain around expected on Saturday.
Not much.
Not much, just to freshen up the grass. Yeah. And guess what? If you're there watching Pride of Jenny, well, the VRC has followed the suit of the MRC and said drinks were going on us, which is interesting. So that'll be awesome. Hey, Craig, have you ever ridden over in South Africa? It's South African Derby weekend as well. Have you ridden over there?
No, I haven't. I haven't ridden in South Africa or Americas. They're probably the two places I haven't ridden in around globally.
Is that on your list, though? You'd like to get over to South Africa?
I'm not too sure.
It's a no.
We've got so much great racing. I think Shane answered it for me there. Thanks.
Well, the other problem that you might have is we've got all the big races on at the same time. So that makes it difficult to be in two places at once. He's talented, but he's not that talented. He can't be in two places.
Yeah.
What about? I don't have the energy. Blake Finn has a lot more energy than me. He's been doing Hong Kong, and I said, how do you do it? I said, and he flies back that night.
Yeah.
And rides a gallop somewhere else in a trial. I went, I remember what youth used to feel like, but it's a good memory now.
And then we're building up towards Dubai World Cup, of course, and it's going to be fantastic to see, of course, our champ. We say our, from a Hong Kong lens, Romantic Warrior running. Yeah,
it will be. And, of course, How Deep Is Your Love's been in good form, that form around Kar Ying Rising, so there'll be some representation there. Always a great meeting, Craig, isn't it? Of course, supported with the Whirlpool and the Hong Kong representation. This horse's plights, and I know we're coming to the end of the interview, but it's been amazing, I think, for global racing, Romantic Warrior, to see him travelling and do what he's done.
He beat Craig by a millimetre and a Cox plate. You sure you want to bring it up?
Well, I think Whirlpool's been great for everyone to benefit from racing around internationally. And, of course, the Dubai World Cup meeting is one of those great meetings, and it's represented by so many. We're just very fortunate, and we've got to be grateful for what we have in Australia at the moment, that we have so much really good prize money. Even New Zealand has stepped up. So we're actually the envy of so many countries around the world, that we just don't have one great meeting. We have a great racing calendar, so we should be really grateful for what we have.
Superb as always, mate. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Craig Williams, the Hong Kong Derby winning jockey. What a star he is. We're going to find some future winners next. Always great to catch up with Craig Williams. Fantastic as always. Touching on the Derby again from your form files point of view. There's so much to unpack out of that Derby. Craig's ride was fantastic, but there's a lot of good things out of it.
Very slowly run race. They went to the 800, 10 lengths slower, and you're right about in terms of, we had him rated higher originally, but he'd been beaten a couple of times, Cap Ferrat, so I think it was hard to sort of trust that figure that he'd posted early. And look, I think the takings from the race, there were a few, but the runner-up was enormous.
I do remember this moment when you, way back in the day, when we first started doing the Road to the Derby, put him on top.
Now, Cap Ferrat has only had one run in Hong Kong, and believe it or not, Richo, still a maiden. He was placed, of course, behind Riff Rocket in Australia, and also the second horse, Chow Wolf. So, gee whiz, it's good form. Yeah. Now, Cap Ferrat and Mickley both come through one race with this peak figure, which I might have rated too high, and I might have to reassess that performance, because since they haven't, Cap Ferrat had an excuse, Mickley hasn't gone to that level, and that race just might be a one-off, which I have to reassess.
Makes me look. I look at that through my hand.
Have we got one of those airplane paper bags that I can grab? No, but look, I couldn't have had him on the day, I think. And I think to to be perfectly honest, we'll take a look at this, Shane, but he had the right set of circumstances on the day. Great ride from
The
Craig
runner-up was amazing.
on the back of it. My Wish was enormous, and I think most fair-minded people would say had he drawn a gate, he would have won.
Oh, he would have won for sure with a gate, and he wouldn't have been ridden back last, but he couldn't go forward on him. He had to go back. His race could have been over it going out of the winning straight if he had gone forward on him, and this was the best way to ride him, to get him to just sprint up the straight. He come home in a 21.39, which is unheard of, and he missed by a nose, but he allowed him to really quicken up there, and it was just a shame. The one thing that's come out of the Derby, which everyone's going to agree upon, is that My Wish is definitely the best 4-year-old.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, no question about it. And look, the third place getter pulled up with a little bit of an issue as well. He mightn't have been good enough anyway. My Wish was the run. But I mean, whatever made the run better, apart from the tempo, I mean, it was a day where, you know, as we highlighted leading in, it was a fast track. And on fast tracks, they're not easy to catch. We had 8 of 10 horses in the first 5 and running win. So it was just a really hard day to sort of come from too far back. And, you know, unfortunately, it didn't work out for My Wish on this occasion.
Yeah, My Wish was certainly a 4-year-old to follow. I don't know where he goes, but he's just going to be one to follow.
What a wonderful shot from Alex Evers.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
how good is he?
He is so good. He'd make us look
We
good.
need him to take. Well, he took a photo of us, and to be perfectly honest, I improved a couple of lengths, and so did Shane. I'm not sure about you.
I'm already at a high benchmark.
Photo.
But yeah,
is that?
great photo. Getting back to the in terms of what the takings are, I know we didn't think it was a sort of stellar year in some respects, but I think the 4-year-olds as a collective are pretty good. We saw Packing Hermod run a track record back in trip. Fast Network's been going well. I think My Wish can step up. He's a very exciting horse. Ruby Lot, I think he's still got some room to improve. And Packing Angel, when he gets over these issues, don't forget this is his first preparation. So he's gone all the way through under one preparation in time. Maybe he could, you know, sort of fulfil his potential. I don't mind the group as a whole. I understand some criticism, but I think this might be an all right year.
I'm like a broken record. Put Johannes Brahms in that list
Yep.
too. He was unlucky.
Like I said, I think there's a few of them that can step up.
Top-rated performance of the weekend?
Yeah, what a performance from Packing Hermod, 89 and broke the track record over 1,400. And when you break these track records, it's a function of a couple of things. You need the speed and you need a fast surface, which is exactly what they got. But he's another horse that's I think headed all right. So yeah, no issue with him going forward, and another winner for Francis Loy.
So Packing Hermod, top-rated performance. Sweeting defeat file. Who jumps in?
Well, there was one that was very unlucky on the day, of course, in terms of Spirit of Peace. He knuckled at the start, or he didn't get it right anyway, Spirit of Peace. So that put him he missed it 4 or 5 lengths and got beat effectively a length. I know it's a simplistic way to look at it. Oreo will drop in grade. Yeah, Ryan did a great job to stay on there. Horse went right down. So, you know, the race was over early, Shane, but I tell you what, he absolutely launched late.
What happened to him is what happened to Ty Anglin when he had that bad accident, and that's happened to me a couple of times. When they stumble, you normally go right over the top of their heads and you hit the ground with the back of your head. So he was very lucky to stay on. It was an enormous run, as you said, Clint. If he jumps and doesn't stumble when he jumps, he wins for sure.
Yeah.
That's not even a dispute.
Yeah, it was just never really. I mean, and Ryan did what Shane often highlights too. When you miss it like that, gradually sort of don't bustle them. He made up the ground gradually, presented. But anyway, he's a horse to follow, Spirit of Peace, but he'll need to start getting the start right. Oreo will drop in class. He's certainly one to follow too.
And enthralled as well, Brenton Avdulla Road. Time for the jockeys to sit up and take notice. It's idle time. The Golden Boy, Billy the Kid, the Hall of Famer. He's got a whole lot of nicknames because that's how damn good he was. He's cast his eye over the rides. Who was the gun ride during the week?
Well, last week, most of the international jockeys won the races on the Sunday meeting, Derby Day. So I'm going to go Wednesday night and show you California Star and Angus. What a ride this was, Clint. It got back, but he elected to save ground and he stuck to the fence. He actually brushed the fence up there, if you see him, as he's going to go around the first bend. And it'll be coming up here somewhere. He brushes the fence. You'll see him back last in the yellow.
You don't see
he gets a bit off balance.
You don't see too many, as he goes into that turn, he just
there,
gets
there.
a bit off balance. But you don't see too many come from that position in any race, never mind your weather and wind, Shane.
No, well, he elected to stay in and ride for luck, but the best part of this ride was about the 200 metres when he had to go in. A lot of people would have checked the horse inside of him to switch ground, but he manoeuvred it really well, and you'll see on the head-on where he didn't cross him. It was a really good ride. Like, he was never going to win, was he? And then all of a sudden you see him starting to come. You still don't think he can get there. Now he's got to get a run. He puts the stick away and he switches them here, but there's two horses inside of him, and he just does enough. Like, that horse on the fence could have really hit the fence there, and then he pulled it off, and then he goes, wow, what a win.
I like that. I like the little fist pump. That was a great ride. That's one of the best of the season, I think, Shane. That really was pretty special.
Because he didn't cause interference, and he could have. He could have caused it so easily. I gave Richard 4 points. He had 3 rides.
Wow.
Won them all. Sensational. He gave I know they had good gates, but he gave them all a perfect ride, and he's leaving next week, so I thought I'd keep him happy and give him 4.
Very good.
Angus got 3, and the other boys, I gave Luke 2. I thought his Derby ride just missed, but if he can keep riding like that and doing things different in big races, he'll go to another level. There they are. Andrea rode really well again. He just had that one bad ride last week. Otherwise, he would be on 26 now.
That's right.
He's going really right. He's riding a lot of winners, and I think he's back to 3rd on the premiership now.
Yeah, so Zach returns back to riding.
Great to see him back.
Yes, returns back leading. Yeah, you're right. Andrea Etzeny's one ahead of Brenton Abdallah for that 3rd position at the moment. Luke Ferraris is a couple behind as well. That battle for 3rd in the Jockey Championship is absolutely fantastic. That's our look at the Idol. Let's find some future winners and also give you a quick update next. Before we get into the best bets, a couple of quick updates now. Our Triple Trio tour to Hong Kong. Scan that QR code. We have decided to open up for another 15 to get a strict limit of 60, so 15 spots. It was sold out. We've said, please, can we bring some more of our friends along? So scan that QR code. It's the best trip going around. You'll absolutely love it. Anyone who's going to the Inglis Easter sale, make sure you get involved with G1 Goldmine. They can help you find the appropriate horse for you, whether it be a farm or a breeder, an owner, investors alike. So get in touch with the G1 Goldmine. And also, we say thanks for the memories to Alfie Chan, who is going to be retiring at the end of the season, who's done a great, great job. All right, let's get into our best bets. Hutch, your best bet?
Yep, like the meeting all round. It's great to see the good horses back, but my best will be Fast Network. I thought he'd be tough to beat. Of course, like the booking of Huey Bowman, good little sprint race. I think the speed will be on, as Shane said. And my next best will be a horse that made our Sid file, South Star. I think he looks 3rd up, ready to go, and it's a very winnable race for him.
Okay, South Star. What do you think, Golden Boy?
Geez, my best bet should have won last week at $13.
I know.
3rd. Should have won for sure. I've got Mission Strike in the 1st. He ran very well the other day at Happy Valley, got back last and run on. He won't get as far back over 200. He'll be very hard to beat. He'll be short.
Yeah, Luke Ferraris for Mark Newnham, who's in really good touch, both of them.
And that was another horse that made our Sid file, Mission Strike. So we're seeing it. It is a bit of kumbaya
today. I know, you two are singing kumbaya all the time. I like these little angst.
Let's hope we're all celebrating
Golden
on the
Boy,
weekend.
Great show. Great to catch up with Craig Williams, mate.
Richo, you're going to spend some of that money for your mother-in-law from the Derby at the Easter sales? Buy another Derby winner?
I'll see what I can do. It might win an ATC Derby as well. Thanks for watching the show. See you soon.